I'm excited to have people see it and see their reactions.
David Main's Atlantic Beach shop is filled with the sounds of sanders and torches. He and a small team spent weeks crafting the Goldman statue for the Players' Championship. Some of his other works had been spotted by PGA officials around town, so they approached him with a request: not only build the statue, but make it unique.
It incorporates a bunch of textural elements, different thicknesses of metal.
From talks to design to production, it took about 2 months. So here's before the gold paint was applied and after. Now on display in the fan zone at the Players, of course, it took quite a few hands to put it in place.
It's going to weigh about 600 pounds with this and the pedestal.
Main's excitement also weighing heavy.
It's awesome to do public art and have people kind of appreciate it and want more of that to happen.
Front and center, the statue will certainly get a lot of looks. Reporting from the Players, Alex Ositis, First Coast News, on your side.